Alright, Smackdown live in my stomping grounds, not very far from here. Where I live is not that far from Madison Square Garden. Now, I'm going to say this. I've only been in the Garden officially just to sit there and watch something maybe once or twice. I have been to the Garden multiple times because I had to go because of catching a train or going somewhere, but legitimately, going to MSG, I've gone only maybe once, and that was Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus when I was maybe 7. That's it. I have not been in that garden since then, and that was maybe, what, 19... And you're gonna go like, what? Yeah, 1979, maybe? Say 79, 78. I was 7 or 8 years old. 7 or 8 years old, I think that's when I went to see Barnum and Bailey Circus, which doesn't exist anymore now because they basically closed their doors permanently now. But that's the last time I went. And they got into stomping grounds. Now, I am not going to cover everything here. There's going to be stuff I'm leaving out on purpose because honestly, at this point, the question is not how well it's been done, it's what will it be done after Money in the Bank, because they're going to culminate what's happening here for Money in the Bank, and the question will be, will it carry beyond that? Now, I will recognize maybe one thing in the back, maybe two, but that's about it. And to be honest, there wasn't much here anyway. Let's just go for the matches, because there was only, what, 2 matches here? If I remember correctly, 3. The first match was Money in the Bank, the qualifying match. For the ladies, we get Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, and I don't know about the Pixie. I don't really know about Candice LeRae. Because it's not that she can't wrestle. It's not that she can't hold a character. It's that they've really done nothing with her. Whether it was Vince or Triple H himself. They really haven't done much with her. Yeah, they've been including Indy Hartwell with her, which I kind of love Indy. She's not a bad character when she wants to be. She's a damn good looking woman. And she can talk to a certain extent. And she wrestles pretty well. So with her, I do like her. But when I look at Candice LeRae, I'm not against her. She's not a bad wrestler. She's not bad looking. She has been able to hold a character, but they've done nothing with her, so I have no interest. So out of 3 people in that ring, and yes, you did have Indy Hartwell come out. You did have a Nia Jax who was in Tiffany's corner, and a Bianca Belair as well, who came out in the Jade Cargill corner. 100%, it was only about these 3 women, and only one of them made sense to win, and only one of them looked the best out of the 3. And I'm going to make this very clear. I know people are not going to like this. When it comes to Jade, I've already stated what I stated, and I'm not backing off from it. The girl's still green, and she's not good in the ring. When you look at this match, and I think about what some people have said over the years about really great, women or guys who look like that, who are like this. No matter how good they look, if they don't have it, if they just can't wrestle very well, or if they just can't talk very well, or if they just only have a look, they don't last long. And Jade looks like a goddess. She looks like a goddess. But like I've been telling people for quite a while, there's only one person that is China. One. That's Jordynne Grace. It is not Jade Cargill, even though Jade Cargill looks more like China than Jordynne Grace does. It don't make a damn difference. Jade Cargill just doesn't look good. She was always protected in AEW. She did not have very good feuds. She was never really pushed very hard to really go beyond just winning a match very quickly. And she's no Goldberg. Sorry. When it came to Goldberg, there was something more to him. Even though you could say, well, the only thing he did was straight matches, which only lasted barely even a minute or two, and Jade is very similar to her. Well, not her, him. Similar to him. When you really look at the differences between a Goldberg and a Jade Cargill, Goldberg was pushed heavily, but at least when he was lacking, he still made it look good to a certain extent when he was in good shape. Jade Cargill, let's make it clear, as it comes to shape, she doesn't matter if she's a woman or a guy. She is way better looking physically than he would, because he was never ripped like a Batista. He was never ripped like a Brock Lesnar. We're talking about Goldberg. He just never was. But when you look at Batista, he wasn't one of the greatest wrestlers, but he always compensated with his character when he had one. And his skill improved as time went on. He wasn't the perfect wrestler, but he did improve enough that when he was in the ring, he could hold his own. Jade just doesn't have that. She has the look of one of the most best women you could see, but as it stands right now, she just sucks. She just still looks awkward in the ring. It's because of all the women she went through in AEW, they really never pushed her. And what I mean by that simply is that they let her beat them, not let her teach them. There's a difference. There's a difference between letting someone go in the ring with someone and beating them in that match, or letting them teach them as they're wrestling them, hey, do this hold like this, do this like this, do that like this. We never got that with Jade Cargill. I don't care who you are. You cannot justify that she went through the entire roster of AEW and more women who came from outside. Athena is one of the best women's wrestlers you got. Selena Deep, you got, calm yourself. You had Ruby Soho go through her. You had, I don't remember Saraya went through her, but it's not the point. She's gone through some of the best wrestlers in AEW that have been known through the indies and in WWE. And they never really taught her anything because she never stuck with them long enough to learn. Now you have her in a situation where she's going to be dealing with the same women over and over again, and she must start learning. Because if you think about it, the most equivalent we had with Jade Cargill, taking away how strong she is Maxine Dupree. I'm saying it. I'm not saying it to insult a Jade Cargill. I'm talking about when it comes to experience dealing with other wrestlers who are actually better than you, and you must learn how to wrestle. And we've had her for more than a few months now. And let's make it clear, she was not seen for many months. But she supposedly was training, but still, as it stands, to be in front of that camera, to know how to really look good to the other wrestler, to make them look good, as well as you gonna be made good by them, she just doesn't have it yet. Now, could she get it? Yes, but there's going to be a point, unlike maybe just Alex, JD, or anyone else, where maybe JD's already sick of her, just Alex is just beginning to get tired of her, and others, I can tell, it can take longer than you think. It can. But there's going to be a point where she's going to actually have to look good in that ring and be good outside the ring. We barely see her talk. Guys, in the match, the next match, when you really look at what happened, she just doesn't look that good. Now, mind you, the only person that was good in that ring was Tiffany Stratton. It's not because I love Tippy Time, because I do. Tiffany Stratton is, yes, she's a gymnast, but she's well-versed enough that she looks good. She knows how to talk. She has that type of aura around her that you can believe. So she won that match, I'm not surprised. Next match, men's ladder match. We got Santos Escobar, we had Paul, and we literally had LA Knight. Yeah, my boy. My Eli Drake, my boy, my LA Knight. I truly felt like it might have been Logan Paul winning, even though it wouldn't make any sense, because he's in a feud with LA Knight. And the best option, if they were going to go there, is LA Knight getting the ladder match win and getting the briefcase. And then instead of cashing it in on either a Cody Rhodes or Damian Priest, would simply be to do Logan Paul. That the ladder match doesn't have to be for both champions. It can be for any champion. It can be for US or IC title, which will open up the ladder match to better possibilities. Because when you see the same people over and over again doing the same damn things, you get tired. So LA may win. You never know. Now, let's make this clear. When it came to Naomi versus a Indy Hartwell versus a Davenport, I did not expect Naomi to win. She did. She won. And I'm happy she won. And we did see a Indy Hartwell get screwed over by Jade Cargill. So we will have something between Jade and Indy Hartwell now. That is her feud. This will be Jade's official first feud. And we will see if she can actually pull off a feud and look semi-good while doing it. Because she's still not good in the ring. No matter how much people want to say she is, she's not. She's still green. And she shows she's green because they never pushed her. Here they're going to push her. You can see they're trying to push her in the hopes that she will not end up like Maxine Dupree. But when you look at this match and you see Naomi win, I'm sorry. This is a guy who has talked about Naomi since 2012. I've seen her since 2012, since she was a become as a Funkasaurus and Funkadactyl. When she was working with Cameron, I knew that girl put her heart on the sleeve. No matter how hard she tried to do her character, you could tell when she was happy, when she was sad, and upset about something, when she was pissed off legitimately in real life. You could tell. She just has that personality. You could see it. I don't know how, I always did. But as I've said before, she made this match. She won who won it. And I'm glad. She will be in the ladder match. But do I believe that she'll win? No. And this makes me feel worse that she re-signed with this damn company before the year even happened for TKO WWE. I wish she had not. I so wish that she either went to AEW briefly or stayed in, stayed in TNA. Stayed in the, we still don't know how far TNA is going to go. Right now, I know they just brought in the debunked, I believe, no longer being used, Canadian International Heavyweight Championship that could have come from Stampede Wrestling, as far as I know. It could have been. I don't know. But they now have an International Heavyweight Championship that may be actually used. I would rather see her stay there. I would rather see her stay in TNA and wait until the year had ended to really get a good gauge of what's going on with that company. Because as it stands right now, I do not believe one damn bit she's going to win Money in the Bank. She's going to put people over in that match. And then when she's finished with that match and they move on SmackDown, she's really not going to be involved in anything. She's not going to be involved with the bloodline. She's not going to be involved with Jade Cargill. I doubt it. She's not going to be involved in anything except put other people over. Now, maybe she's fine with that, but I don't think that's right. I just don't. She's been in some high-profile moments, but that doesn't mean she has relevancy as much as people love her. I'm just saying, this is me. This is me, guys. This is me. A guy who's seen her for more than a decade, who really believes she made a big mistake coming back to the company so quickly. Let's move on. Let's get to the backstage segment. The one that I cared about is DIY with the current champions. And the question's going to be not that if Grayson Waller is going to betray a... Let's make it clear. If it's not DIY that's going to win those damn titles, it's going to be somebody else. And they will show Grayson Waller is going to turn on Austin Fury. The question is Austin capable of handling a face turn? Look, he had his moments with Vince. He has been pushed heavily by Vince. And to a certain extent, Triple H. They see something in him. But the question is, was it due to the fact they just didn't know how to book him correctly? And now this could be the moment that maybe he's better as a face. We just don't know. He's been a heel for quite a while. Yes, he was working with Johnny Gargano in NXT for a while and being a good guy, but he had no character. Now he has somewhat of a character, and it looks like that character's about to do a face turn. And when you see how he was acting, once DIY got beat up by Grayson Waller, you wonder, could he actually pull it off? That's going to be the question. Now, the opening of the show, because we're finishing up now. The opening of the show, seeing the beatdown in MSG. Good. Seeing that the fans were ravenous in New York, good. Thank you. If New York fans were not ravenous in MSG and they were packed, you could look at the entire rafters. Those rafters, the blood was flowing from those nosebleeds, baby. They were flowing. You could see how high they were packed up there. So it was loaded. So when it came down to it, it was a good crowd. They were very loud, and it was good. The fight was fine. Then they bring out the cops who did not have any guns on their hips because they couldn't, actually. It was too dangerous. Because they kept going, okay, move now, please. And there's nothing there. If they were real cops or if they were rent-a-cops, like fake cops, it don't matter. They're going like this on their hips and saying, please, come on, please. They had nothing there. There was no holsters. There was no fake guns. Nothing. I kind of wish they would do that kind of realism, but it could be problematic because you may have a problem currently with the networks not wanting them to actually have any type of, even their fake firearms, to have them with them, because it could upset the networks, because that could be considered violence more than wrestling that's going on in the ring. Now, when they move over to Netflix, who knows? Maybe they'll actually have rent-a-cops that will have fake guns, or better yet, I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, tasers. Whoops. You never know what's going to happen with TKO WWE to do whatever it takes to make money. I'm telling you right now, I'm saying a few people who left comments, they're beginning to understand what I've been saying about how TKO WWE, you know who you guys are. There's one that's known from the beginning who felt the same as me. But unlike him, you know who you are, my friend. You know who you are. Your picture's like this. You know who you are. I respect you. I know you talk on Just Alex's own chat and everything. But him and me, we have come up with the same thing, unlike Just Alex or JD. But I'm the one who's speaking it out. So, not saying anything against him, but doing this platform, I'm speaking for him or anyone else who's begun to see, like I've been stating. And I hope I'm still wrong. But as you see it for yourself, you're not dealing with Vince McMahon anymore. You're dealing with someone, in many cases, could be easily worse than Vince McMahon, that legitimately would do whatever it takes. And I'm making it clear. Whatever it takes to make money. Look what happened with WCW. They were willing to do whatever it took to make money until they couldn't make any more money. Due to things that happened on Ted Turner's side when it came to the AOL agreement, and then it falling out and almost going bankrupt where he had to sell it to Vince. We are talking about a real businessman who is working the corporate system that will do whatever it takes to make money, other than Vince McMahon, who was a promoter that was not a businessman. He was a promoter. He was the son of a promoter who did boxing. Then he became a wrestling promoter. Then his own son became a promoter like him and wanted to transition from just doing promoting to everything else. He had to try and take a business that is not designed for like corporate or heavy entertainment like that and try to transition it. We're talking about Ari Emanuel, who has had done that with UFC and his own company Endeavor. So we don't know how bad it will get. They will do whatever it takes to make money, and they will backpedal faster than anything to keep money, and you may hate it worse. But this is what we get. Now, the closing of the show, the acknowledgement ceremony that does not have Alpha. Now, let's make this clear. I've already said this when I saw NXT and reviewed it. Sika has passed away. Roman Reigns' actual father has passed away. And it hurts. It does hurt to know that Sika has passed away. But if you're going to be honest, when this really comes down to this bloodline, and I'm saying this, who has done the bloodline since 2020, who's reviewed it, I'm telling you what this really needs to go. Now, mind you, Solo was there, even though Paul was told by Solo that Jacob was not going to be there. He was there. He lied to Paul. We got Tamaloa acknowledging Solo because this was the acknowledgement ceremony. We got Jacob Fatu acknowledging him. And then Paul, the wise man, the last of the original bloodline. The second member next to the first original member, Roman Reigns, who was there, who had to acknowledge Solo. And he was given the beads, the red beads of acknowledgement that you are the tribal chief. And next to him being told, I'm going to make this straight. You're my wise man. You're my wise man now. I'm going to straighten this out when we do the acknowledgement ceremony. And he got 3 of his relatives to acknowledge him. Now the wise man, who's been known by the family since the beginning, he now has to acknowledge him and put the beads on his head. And for Paul's sake, he said, I love you, but I cannot acknowledge you as a tribal chief. And he gets the Samoan spike. He gets his ass whooped. He gets completely laid out and splashed by a Jacob Fatu. And then he gets triple powerbombed by the new Solo bloodline. That's what they call them now, Solo's bloodline. That's the best way to call them. They're not the bloodline, they're Solo's bloodline, which I'm sure more than a few people already acknowledged and has called it that. And they drove Paul through the announce table, the English announce table. They just drove him through it. He seems to be all right. So now Paul Heyman has been written off TV. Done. Until Roman comes back, which I'm sure it's going to take a little longer because of what's been going on. That as it stands, and this is what I believe has happened here, and what this needs to culminate. This is me, guys. I'm telling you right now. This is what I believe has happened, and they had to adjust. But I do believe what needs to culminate in the future, and I will probably keep talking about this in the end, but hear me out. Right now, Solo is the bloodline's tribal chief. Solo's bloodline. But I do believe, due to the fact that The Rock is injured, because while he was doing a movie, he got injured. He's hurt. He's still doing 2 movies, guys. He wasn't doing 1. He's done 2 movies, or is still in the works of his second movie where he's actually injured. And now he has to take off from the movies. I believe he's finished it, or he's about to finish it, and he's got to recover from that injury. So they rewrote the original storyline. Instead of being The Rock, it is Solo who has to become the leader of the bloodline because they can't use Rock. He's injured. So that's the reason why Solo is the current tribal chief of this version of the bloodline. But here's the thing. We know Roman will come back. We know that Jimmy will come back. And eventually, I do believe Jay will also come back. And then, not sure if we will have The Rock in the corner of the original bloodline. I do believe he will be there, or better yet, once he recovers, he may join Solo's bloodline to try and take it over, but then he knows he can't take it over because he'll be the final boss, but he will not be able to take over that part of the bloodline. They will whoop his ass, and he will join Roman's bloodline. But here's the thing that needs to culminate either next year, possibly. This is the truth. There is only one true tribal chief. Only one true tribal chief. And eventually they will need to cover this if they really want to make this a full circle type of story. Because I stated this last year. And also stated part of this year. When it comes down to it, the true tribal chief, it's not Solo, it's not The Rock, and it's not Roman. It's Jay. Jay Uso must become eventually the true tribal chief. It cannot be Roman. It cannot be Solo. It cannot even be a Rock. Because from the very beginning of the original storyline of the bloodline, when he brought in his cousins, he couldn't. Look what happened. Jimmy got injured. He had, I think, an ACL tear. He was out for quite a while. And they had to use Jay by himself. Jay earned not just the name Primetime Jey Uso, but he earned the love of the fans. It wasn't just yeet that he got over. It was just his attitude. It worked so well. And many believed, well, maybe a few believed, because I was one of the few who really voiced it a lot. Jay must become tribal chief. That you need to have a Sami Zayn by his side when he tries to take the moniker and become the true bloodline leader, where supposedly, like I said, you had the Roman Reigns have to acknowledge his cousin permanently as the current tribal chief because he realized he screwed up. That is the person that's supposed to be the tribal chief. But nobody wanted to go there. But in this situation, if they're really doing storytelling, that's if. Because as I said, the only thing TKO and WWE cares about is this. And I truly believe they will never go that with Jay. But if they did care about storytelling, there's only one person that can truly be the true tribal chief by 2026 or 2025. Because they could stretch this out another year or two because they may try to. I believe it'll stretch at least one more year. Into the middle to the end of 2025. It should only be one person, and that should be Jey Uso, who is the true bloodline leader. And I truly believe if he becomes the leader, he disbands the bloodline permanently, and then the storyline ends. Because it should come full circle. 5 years after the bloodline was started, with the first one signed on, Jey Uso, he becomes the champion, or maybe he becomes the champion, or he becomes 100% the new bloodline tribal chief. And as chief, he believes that this can make anyone corrupt, and he disbands it. And everyone goes off on their own. That would be the best way to end the story. But this is just me. You guys can tell me below. Peace!